Hi, good evening. Welcome along to the Transfer Show. There is a month and a half to go until clubs have the chance to reinforce or perhaps even correct course in the January window. But who needs to do what? Alan Pardew is with me for the next hour, as is Dharma Sheth and, of course, Kaveh Solokol. All right, let's turn our attentions to Arsenal because they're 4 points clear at the top and appear to be benefiting from their recruitment in the previous windows. Dharma, do you think they'll go again in January?
Look, it's not a window where Arsenal are usually that active. The last time I think that they signed major players for the first team squad was back in 2023, January 2023. Leandro Trossard came in. He's
not a bad signing.
Jorginho, you could say, was a success as well. Jakub Kiwior came in that window as well. He's since gone out on loan with the view to a permanent deal as well. So maybe that one didn't work as much as Arsenal would have wanted. So I'm not expecting Arsenal to be that busy in January unless one of two things were to happen. There's a major injury before then, which they did have last January when Gabriel Jesus injured his ACL, and he's only on his way back now. But I think all the Arsenal fans then were imploring the club to bring in a striker. And I think Arsenal were very well aware that they needed to bring someone in. But I think they wanted to keep their powder dry a little bit because they had longer term plans. And if they'd had signed someone like Ollie Watkins, who they went for, there was a big differential in the price between what Villa wanted and what Arsenal were prepared to pay, up to £20 million.
Gosh.
And Arsenal weren't prepared to bridge that gap. So they said, let's not do it in this transfer window. We have got other longer term targets that we can exercise in the summer. So that's one reason if there's an injury, or if a long term target or a market opportunity that's far too good to turn down presents itself. And that in itself is a rarity in a January transfer window. And if you add on to that, Captain Martin Odegaard, Noni Madueke, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, Victor Gyökeres, Gabriel Martinelli, they're all currently out injured at the moment. And they are all expected to come back, well, the majority of them, once the international break is over. And towards the end of the year, you should see all of those players back. And for some of them who haven't played the entire season, it's almost acting like the old cliche, it's like a new signing. So the squad looks like it is built to challenge on all fronts this season. And it doesn't look like, at the moment, it can change, of course, that they'll need to reinforce in January.
Terrifying for the rest of the league, you'd have to say. Let's talk about Andre Berta, because that was his first window, wasn't it? How do you feel that he's settled in then?
I mean,
big shoes to fill after
the general
Eddie,
consensus is it's been a success so far because they had a massive transfer window in the summer, his first summer transfer window at the club. They're 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. By and large, all of the signings that he's brought in have contributed. Now, he is the driving force behind the recruitment at the club, but it should also be said that back in 2020, Arsenal changed Mikel Arteta's title. And it was quite significant, actually, because he turned from a head coach to a manager. Now, Alan probably better throw a bit more light on that and the differences that entails. But for Arteta to become a manager, he has a say in all the transfer activity. I'm not saying a head coach doesn't, but that subtle change in the title would imply that he would have a voice, and quite a big voice, when it comes to recruitment. Now, he's spoken publicly, has Mikel Arteta, about how the board, Andrea Berta and himself, have worked in unity together, especially in this last transfer window, because there was quite a lot of upheaval earlier on in the year when Edu left the club, and it came as a surprise to everyone at the football club. But then they managed to recruit someone like Andrea Berta, who's got a huge standing in European football. And it looks like everyone's working together in a way that Arsenal always wanted it to work. And the proof is where they are in the league and the signings that they've made. I just wanted to ask Alan, actually, on that point about manager and head coach, but also you've managed for so long that you've been in the era where there hasn't been sporting directors to an era where there have been sporting directors. You've even been a sporting director yourself. What were the differences before and after for you?
Well, of course, one of the problems you had when you're managing in the Premier League, and the bigger the league got, the more pressure there was on you in terms of performances. The squads were getting bigger. the finance was getting bigger. It was getting more and more difficult to keep your eye focused on transfers. And I think it was a natural progression that we were going to get a technical director, a transfer team, analysts that were going to go through all the videos and go through all the data. So now it's like a whole team of people that are in charge of transfers. But of course, whether you're head coach or manager, you've still got a massive influence in there, in that room. So when it comes to the transfer, ultimately Arteta will be saying yes.
So has he got the ultimates then? So, or is it who's in charge?
Well,
in that
if Arteta said no,
right,
for example, they would have a major problem, and they know that.
Okay.
They don't want to lose the manager. The manager's in a good mode. What you got to remember about the ownership of a football club, you've got to have unison with the manager. You've got to. Right? And if you fall out or you start getting friction in that relationship, then you have got problems. And Nottingham Forest have had that issue with Nuno this year in particular, where Edu and the whole thing seemed to fall apart. So it is an important role, and it's when you're getting on and when you're winning and the transfers are all looking great, then everybody's happy. It's only when the errors come and the fingers start getting pointed where you put him up or...
But it sounds like then there, with Nuno, then the sporting director won.
Well, I don't know if he won. I wouldn't say he won.
But it was Nuno that ultimately left the club, wasn't it?
Nuno ended up at West Ham manager. So he won as well. He got paid off Nottingham Forest and he got a new club.
But you hear where I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, of
but
course.
It sounds like you said there was a...
I didn't say there was a problem between Nuno and Edu. I was saying there was a problem between the three of them because actually that is an important relationship. One of his jobs as a technical director, who said to me, you know, that and I did that role, was my job was to protect the manager mainly. That was how I felt from the owner. The owner was a very emotional person, you know. Manager's got to go, you know, this is not right, and I'll be like, oh, it's okay, give him time.
Well done, Alan.
Yeah, well, of course. But that is a technical director's job. It is almost to try, in the calm light of day, like on a Tuesday after a Saturday game, to bring some realism to the result, to say, okay, well, the XG was great, you know, and we had great performances, okay, the result didn't go away, and calm the owner down. And so you get that. And if you get that relationship with the manager and the technical director working together and on transfers, then you got a winning mentality.
Just in your managerial career, particularly when you worked with a sporting director, was there ever a time you were saying if there's not unison, then there's a problem?
Yeah.
Was there ever a signing at any of your clubs that was made that you were saying, this is not a good idea, I don't want this player? And what was the end result?
Yeah, the end result is there was a few that got signed. And actually, one of the...
Are you going to name any?
Yeah, no. There's a funny story because Alan Carr, who's just won Traitors, who's brilliant, right?
We loved it,
Some people have got it on record.
Oh, sorry.
They haven't. It's too late for that.
His father was Graham Carr, the famous manager, of course, right? And he was my chief scout at Newcastle. And when I went, he was very powerful at Newcastle. And he had an opinion about a player that was very difficult to kind of budge. So he was like, yes, 100% we should have him. And I was like, oh, no. I don't think so. We should sign him. And I'm going to give you an example to sort of clarify how that went. So I was at Southampton previous to Newcastle, and I wanted to sign Adam Lallana for Newcastle. And I was quite adamant about it. I want Adam Lallana. Graham Carr was like, well, Adam Lallana is a great player for Southampton, but this is Newcastle. This is